Hi, I'm Brett Johnson, former United States most wanted cyber criminal, now good guy. Ha! Or as United States Secret Service once called me, the original internet godfather. Well, Brett, how did you get that title? Well, don't worry, I'll tell you how I got that title. 39 felonies, placed on the United States most wanted list, an escape from prison, and I built and ran the first organized cybercrime community. It was called Shadow Crew. It was a precursor of today's darknet and darknet markets. It laid the foundation for the way modern cybercrime channels operate today. No, there's nothing to be proud about with that. And yes, that shit does land you in prison. And yes, there's a whole story behind that, but we don't have time for that today because today it's time for the Brett Johnson Show. Today's episode, Advanced Replacement Fraud. When we come back. All right, so we are back to the Brett Johnson Show. Today's episode, Advanced Replacement Fraud. It's a very nifty type of fraud. It was going to be. So this was going to be the last episode, but I got sidetracked talking about how criminals establish trust with themselves and with potential victims, which I think is a very important episode. It truly is, and I've gotten a lot of good feedback from that. I've got a lot of good feedback from everyone who's been watching the episodes, and I really appreciate that, guys. I truly do. I've got a lot of shit to talk about. Man, do I have a lot of stuff to talk about. Being a criminal, a former criminal for, 20, 30 years, being a criminal for that many years, one acquires a lot of knowledge, and a lot of criminals are not able to voice or put that knowledge into words that are useful for other people. Maybe useful for other criminals, but not much use for people who are on the legal side of things. And I really try to make sure that I'm talking from that stance of trying to help the people who are trying to protect themselves, who are trying to stop fraud, trying to stop cybercrime and crime in general. So I hope I'm doing that. If not, hey, I read the comments on the show. Sometimes I take them a little personally. Sometimes I don't. Like I got a comment today that said, well, the craziness, that partial craziness that you see on his show, that's probably a result of that 8 months in solitary confinement that he did. Well, maybe. I mean, you're in solitary. Great. I did 8 months in solitary after I escaped from prison. And I will tell you that it does leave a mark. You get to the point where you see shit that ain't there. Is that a bug? I don't know. It was there a second ago. You see stuff that ain't there. You can only sleep so long. And typically a lot of people who are in solitary, you start out where you sleep. I was sleeping probably 16, 18 hours a day. I'd get up to eat. I would walk the cell. The cell was like 6 by 9. I'd walk the cell for, 45 minutes to an hour. I'd do sit-ups and stuff like that. And, use the bathroom 3 or 4 times, get some water. And, the first few months, no book. And then lo and behold, the King James Bible shows up and I was happy to have that. I am well-versed in the KJ Bible. Well-versed. So that was a blessing. At least I had that. Then later on, some other books showed up. And when those other books showed up, things got a lot better. Now, the thing is you're supposed to, when you're in solitary, where you're in that type of confinement, you're supposed to get out an hour a day to walk the yard, whatever. That is not the way that prison actually works. The truth of the matter is that if you're in that type of, whether it's protective custody or solitary or anything else like that, the truth of the matter is that you're lucky to get out once a week for an hour. Once a week. You shower twice a week. The showers in prison were Wednesdays and Saturdays. Fortunately, some prisons, they actually wheel the shower up to the cell. So they wheel the shower up to the cell door. They pop the door open and you step out of the cell into the shower. It's a mobile shower. That was not the type of that I had. I was fortunate enough that I was able to walk to the shower. So that was good. But yeah, could that be part of it? Yeah, I guess it does leave a mark, but I will tell you, it may, this, the voices, the kind of craziness, the off the wall, off the cuff type of mentality sometimes. It may just be part of my lovable nature. I like to think of myself as a hairless teddy bear. Remember that, a hairless teddy bear. That's what I like to think of myself as. But we ain't here to talk about that right now. We're here to talk about advanced replacement fraud. And may have to split this show up into two. I wasn't going to say this, but I like to be honest. I've actually got a meeting at I don't know. I've got a meeting in 25 minutes. And I know this show is going to probably go over 25 minutes. We'll see. I don't cut shit out of this show either. So if this show lasts 25 minutes, hey, that's the whole show. If not, I'll say, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll finish talking about this. And you'll know that during the break, I attended this meeting real quick. So just one of them things. Wanted to have full disclosure. It's very important to have full disclosure. You got so many things these days that these people ain't telling everything they need to know. So advanced replacement fraud. It turns out that if you have been a cyber criminal for a long time, which I have, or I was, if you've been in that environment, that's a better way to put it. If you've been in that cybercrime environment for a long time, and I have, it has a lot of benefits. And the reason I say that is right now, this thing called advanced replacement fraud is kind of eating a lot of fairly high-end merchants alive. A lot of stereotype merchants, speaker merchants, some high-end vacuum cleaners, some stuff like that. It's eating these types of merchants alive. All right. And I wanted to talk about that today. I'm not going to name the merchants. It used to be, yeah, Brett would once upon a time say who was getting hit hard, and he would actually walk everyone through the technique of how it was done. But there's so many criminals out there that want to know these damn techniques that I'm like, you know what? I'll talk about how it's done. But if you son of a bitches want to go out and break the law, how about you do some legwork, do it yourself? How about even better, my favorite line from Liar Liar with Jim Carrey is stop breaking the law, asshole. So stop breaking the law. That's an even better idea. It doesn't end well. All you have to do is look at my life to know that it doesn't end well. All right. Yeah, I've got a blessed life now, but I will tell you what, I'm 52. And if I could have had a regular life, I damn sure would have. I mean, yeah, people have said, I hear a lot of comments right now that, oh man, you've led one hell of a life. Yes. It's great to hear it. It's great to read about it. It ain't so damn great to have lived it. I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful that I'm able to help people now, but man, it's been a long trip. It has. It's been a really long trip. So advanced replacement fraud. The reason I say it benefits one to have been in this cybercrime environment for a while is that advanced replacement fraud has been around for a minute. I will hearken back to Evolution Marketplace. So dark web marketplaces. The first is, of course, Silk Road. The first legitimate, or the first viable one is Silk Road, ran by Ross Ulbricht. And if anyone out there wants to know why cryptocurrency is popular, let's just go ahead and say it. All right. It's because of Ross Ulbricht. Ross Ulbricht is who legitimized Bitcoin. He opened up Silk Road. Silk Road was mainly a drug trafficking marketplace. He opened up Silk Road on the dark web. The only payment that he allowed on that marketplace was Bitcoin. So it gave viability to that token. All right. Now, there are people these days who do not like to hear that. They don't like to hear that cryptocurrency got its start in illegal activity. Well, that's a shame you don't like to hear it, because that bullshit's still going on today. All right. The only real purpose I can think of for Monero is for criminal activity. It's still going on. Okay, that's not the only real purpose, but it kind of is. It kind of is. There's still crypto is used for a lot of money laundering. I'm not going to have somebody out there. Oh, the U.S. dollar is most. Yeah, that's really what's used for money laundering. Yes, I know that. But if you're trying to say that crypto's not, quit yanking my chain. All right, it is. It is. It's used for a massive amount of money laundering. Criminals love the damn stuff because, think about it this way, criminals cannot transfer US dollars. They can't just go in, and if you're buying drugs on the dark web, you can't just hand somebody a $20 bill. No, and you certainly don't want to send it to them by PayPal or through your bank account or Venmo or Cash App or Zelle. No, because that links right back to your ass and you're going to go to prison for that shit. So you have to have some other way to pay for your drugs, and that's crypto. If you're buying stolen credit card details, if you're scamming people, all this other thing, crypto is a very nice mechanism to exchange value. All right, so it is there. So anybody, and I say that because I think most people realize that. There are those in the crypto community who refuse to admit it. Oh no, it's the blockchain. The blockchain is what gives it value. You know, the blockchain's nifty technology. If anyone can figure out what to do with it other than laundering money. Now, wait. I know. I just said that shit. I'm yanking your chain now. I just said it. I know there's other uses for it other than laundering money. Although laundering money's a good one, that is a good use case. So calm down. Anyway, Ross Ulbricht is the guy who started the real first viable dark web market. I had shadowcrew.com. Shadowcrew.com was a precursor to the darknet and darknet markets. It wasn't on the dark web. We didn't have that technology back then. All right. But Ross Ulbricht ran Silk Road. And of course, we all know he gets arrested. He gets sentenced to 2 life sentences, plus I think 40 years in prison. On appeal, he had one of the life sentences rescinded. So he's still under life plus 40. I think I said in a different episode, I'm actually going to do a show talking about Ross Ulbricht. But I said on a different episode, for years, I was of the opinion that Ross should serve that life sentence. I was of that opinion, but that opinion was based on a bunch of bias from me as well. You know, when I turned my life around, I'm kind of a zero tolerance type guy. I see somebody that's out there breaking the law and doing these things, and I'm like, yeah, throw their asses in jail, unless you're a child. If you're a child, no, I don't think you need to go to prison. You need to have some mentorship. You need to have somebody take you under their wing and give you some guidance and stuff like that. Don't send a child to prison. But if you're an adult, I think some prison would do you some good. Just saying, it did me a world of good. Not that it rehabilitated me, but it gave me time to pause and think about things. And it took me off the street. It kept me from victimizing other people. So it does have benefit. It absolutely does. Ross, I don't think should be serving life in prison. I really don't. I think that he needs a good dose of time. Has he served enough already? Maybe. I mean, the dude's been in a while. He has. I don't know if he's still got that cognitive dissonance that he had. The interesting thing is I actually know some of the people who ran. I've actually had dinner with one of the guys who ran one of the large marketplaces after Silk Road. And no, it was not a criminal dinner. It was in my capacity as a legal individual that I had dinner with this individual, and I talk about cybercrimes committed because of status, cash, or ideology. You know, you're trying to impress your criminal peers, status. You're trying to steal cash, or ideology, your political beliefs. You've got a disagreement with someone. This guy had ran this marketplace, and it was a multi-million-dollar marketplace, one of the largest ones at that point in time. He had ran this marketplace, and he had started it because of ideology, and he had gotten his ass in trouble, of course. And just having dinner and the talks that I had with him and everything, you could tell that he still had those beliefs. He hadn't really come to terms that his ass had been breaking the law and doing wrong yet. And I'm not sure, I've not had the opportunity to talk to Ross Ulbricht. I've not. And a lot of people out there who support him have not either. But I would say that we really need to know if he is remorseful for the crimes that he committed. And he did. Yes, he is responsible for cryptocurrency being what it is today. Make no mistake about that. He absolutely is. But he also committed some very serious crimes. Now, a lot of people are going to say, oh, it was just drug trafficking. Yeah, you're damn right it was drug trafficking of some serious drugs. Most people who buy drugs on the dark web, it's pot. I don't really give a damn about pot. But there are some serious drug sales going on. All right. I think Ross was around before fentanyl really took off, but there was meth, there was coke, there was all these other drugs. There was heroin, there was all these other drugs. And I had a lot of comments recently because I made a comment about Ross. I had a lot of comments about, hey, that you said he tried to hire Hitman, those charges were dropped. Well, yeah, okay. He wasn't charged with it, but did his ass try to do it? Yes. Is it part of the relevant conduct? I think it probably is. You see, what happens is, on your case federally, probation office and prosecutor, before it goes in front of sentencing, they come up with this thing called a PSR, pre-sentence report, kind of an in-depth background check. It basically tells the judge how much time to give that inmate. So with Ross, I'm kind of curious. I don't know for sure, but I'm kind of willing to bet that those, attempted murders were part of the relevant conduct in the sentencing. Maybe I'm wrong. Somebody can tell me. I've asked that question 3 or 4 times, and I got to be honest, I'm too damn lazy right now to look it up. I'm going to have an episode on Ross, and I'll look it up at that point in time, and we'll discuss it. I think it needs to be discussed. Like I said, I don't think the guy needs to be doing life in prison anymore. I think that he needs to serve some time, but he needs to get his ass out. I truly do. And I hope he's changed some of his, ideological beliefs about things. You can't change the world by being a drug trafficker. It didn't work with Pablo Escobar. It didn't work with El Chapo, and it didn't work with Ross Ulbricht. All right. So that being said, let's talk about advanced replacement fraud. I get off on these tangents. Advanced replacement fraud. As I said, it benefits one to be in that cybercrime environment for a long period of time. And I have been in that environment for a long period of time. The first time that I saw advanced replacement fraud was with the Surface Pro and the Xbox Ones. All right. And this has been, Surface Pro 2. Surface Pro 2, Xbox One. And it dates back, I guess this is probably, 2013, 2014, somewhere through there. So what happened was on Evolution Marketplace. And for those who don't know, no, Brett Johnson was not necessarily, excuse me. No, Brett Johnson was not necessarily a legal guy back around 2013. That's a nice euphemism to say that, yes, I was still fucking around. All right, so I was on Evolution Marketplace, and we saw some guys that they had access to Surface Pro 2s, and they were selling this technique on how you could get a Surface Pro 2, and it was well guarded. Now, here's the way these techniques tend to work in these underground or criminal forums, criminal marketplaces, things like that. So what tends to happen, say, take Evolution. Evolution probably had a following, a membership of 80 or 90,000 people, probably more than that. So let's say 100,000 people. Evolution had a membership of 100,000 people. What happens is, of those 100,000, most of those people are actually, Evolution was a fraud forum more than anything. So 100,000 fraudsters. Okay. 100,000 fraudsters. Now, does that mean that all these 100,000 fraudsters work together? No, it doesn't. If I'm coming in there in that community, I usually have a group of maybe 10, 15 people that I communicate with fairly frequently. I share and exchange information with them. So what happens is the way these techniques tend to go is someone finds out a technique. Someone finds out that a company is vulnerable somewhere. And for their geographic area, they mine it out as much as they possibly can. I mean, they hit it as hard as they can until that merchant or that company figures out that, hey, we losing money hand over fist over here in Tampa, Florida. So we're going to start flagging every order that's coming out of Tampa, that's going to Tampa. We're going to flag everything. We're going to pull it. We're going to look at it. We're going to make sure we stop losing these items to Tampa, Florida. So that technique is kind of dead for Tampa, wherever that criminal is, okay? but that technique's not dead anywhere else. So what he does is that guy who has the initial vulnerability, who has that information, that guy then shares it with his inner circle. He lets these other, 10, 15 people know about it. He's like, hey, man, I got this. You can make you some money. Meanwhile, they're doing that with him. Whatever they know about a merchant, anything else, if theft is working with this store, they'll let him know because, they've mined it out for their geographic area. So they share and exchange information. So he shares that with his 10 or 15 people, and they mine it out for their geographic area. But there are 100,000 fraudsters on the site. Well, what do you do next? Once it's mined out between you and your buddies, well, you can sell it as a tutorial. And that's exactly what happened on Evolution. People started to sell it as a tutorial. Hey, we'll just show you how to get Surface Pro 2s. Well, what happens is when you sell something as a tutorial, if it's a tutorial that works, and that's highly suspect sometimes, because here's the deal. I talk about you can go on the dark web a lot. You can buy a tutorial for $10. You can take live instruction classes. You can do all this other stuff. Yes, you can buy a tutorial for as low as $10. A lot of the time, though, over 75% of the time, those tutorials ain't worth shit. Those tutorials, the technique that's outlined in those, that technique is already dead. Now, does that mean that that tutorial is no longer valuable? No, it doesn't. If you don't know how to commit that type of crime at all, it will help you get the correct mindset for the dynamics of how that specific crime operates. Okay, so tutorials are still valuable, even though that specific technique may be mined out, dead, anything else like that. So they started to sell the tutorial on how to get Surface Pro 2s. Well, what happens is when you sell a tutorial, if it's still viable, if that technique is still good, it gets leaked really quickly, really quickly. Somebody buys it, they share it with their buddy, they share it with their buddy, or somebody buys it and then they sell it themselves for half price or for $1 or anything else. And then it goes like wildfire throughout that entire community if that technique is still viable. And with Microsoft, it was definitely still viable. That Christmas, for example, you could go on eBay and you could look at Surface Pro 2s, and the only Surface Pro 2s you saw were those that were defrauded. Now, how do I know that? Well, here's what was going on. It was advanced replacement fraud. Turns out that Microsoft shipped out the Surface Pro 2 with some issues. Not uncommon for Microsoft. Those who remember the Xbox Red Ring of Death know what I'm talking about. Sometimes electronics manufacturers send out shitty items just to get them on the street. They know there's a failure rate, but they're going to get them right out on the street anyway in order to meet street date, in order to get sales up and everything else. And then they'll handle the replacements or the fixes or anything else after the problem pops up. That was a big issue with the Xbox and the Red Ring of Death. All right. Now, it was also an issue with the Surface Pro 2. So Microsoft knew there was a problem. It was a problem out of the gate. Sometimes the screen wasn't working. There were several different issues that were going on with it. So what you could do if you were a legitimate customer, if you went and you ordered either from the Microsoft store or if you walked into Best Buy and bought your Surface Pro 2, took it home, fired it up, and it didn't work, well, you could get on Microsoft's site and you could say, I've got a problem with my Surface Pro 2, and they would walk you through. You wouldn't have to talk to a human being at all. They would walk you through a set of questions, and you would say what was wrong with it. And then they would say, well, you qualify for an advanced replacement, which means we're not going to charge you anything to replace your product. We're going to go ahead right now, and we're going to send you a replacement Surface Pro 2. When you get it, you send us your broke one back. We're going to send you the packaging, or we'll send you a shipping label so you can send the broken one back to us. All right. Does anyone see where I'm going? Does anyone see where I'm going at? I mean, if you got the serial number, ooh, boy, can you eat them alive? That's the issue. All right. Now, Microsoft did have one bit of security implemented with this program. And what Microsoft did was they said, hey, In order for us to send out that advance replacement, we need a valid credit card number. Okay, that's all you need is a valid credit card number? Didn't matter whose name it was in. What they would do is they would ping the card. They wouldn't put an advance hold on the card or anything else. They would just ping the card for the amount of the Surface to make sure the card had that much money on it. All right. As long as the card had that much money on it, card was valid, they would go ahead and send you a Surface Pro 2 replacement, and it would arrive usually overnight. They sent it 2-day air, but usually it would arrive overnight. They shipped it in a brown cardboard box, just the Surface Pro 2, no power adapter. So that Christmas on eBay, you had several hundred sellers, all right? Not just several hundred units, but several hundred sellers selling multiple units of Surface Pro 2s, and every picture that was being sold was of this brown cardboard box that had the Surface Pro 2 without the power adapter. Now, anyone who has a Surface unit, all right, a Surface Pro, and I've got the Surface Pro 8 now, and I love it. I absolutely love it. But it's got a very specific type of power adapter, and it's a power adapter too that sometimes it shocks the shit out of you. That one I've got still has a little bit of a tingle when you touch it. I like it kind of because it lets me know I'm still alive, but it's still there. So, no power adapters. You couldn't buy a replacement power adapter in the store at Best Buy or anything else. You couldn't buy it directly from Microsoft. So all of a sudden you had a bunch of these damn Chinese providers, Chinese sellers, these companies selling knockoff Surface Pro power adapters. And let me tell you, if you think anybody owns a Surface now and has ever been shocked by one, if you think that gives you a shock, you ain't felt nothing until you use one of these Chinese knockoffs and plug its ass in there. You're going to know you're alive. So that's what happened. And it ate Microsoft absolutely alive. Then the exact same thing happened with the Xbox One, because they shipped the Xbox One with some heating issues. And there were some DOA, dead on arrival. So they had the same issue up in that as well. And as I said, and I'm not proud of it, but I was not necessarily a legal guy at that point in time, which is a nice euphemism that I was still screwing around. So it ate Microsoft alive. It truly did. It truly did. And the weird thing was like with the Xbox Ones, they were hard to find. You know, you had to get in waiting lists and everything else. It was not as difficult as trying to find an Xbox Series X now or PlayStation 5, but it was hard and difficult to find one unless you were one of these fraudsters that was doing the advanced replacement and you were getting 8 or 10 shipped out a day and then reselling those on eBay as well without the power adapter. Turned out that power adapter was pretty easy to get for the Xbox. So that's what happened. So advanced replacement has been around. And you know, I mentioned that the only security they had in place was simply a valid credit card number was the only necessity that was needed. Well, that was very easy to get if you're a fraudster, because credit cards run anywhere from, back then they were about $3 to $7. You could get a credit card for $3 that you just use to verify that Microsoft account. Now, when we come back, remember what I said, sometime I may have to take a pause because I got a meeting. But when we come back, we'll talk about how this fraud is working today. All right. And I'm Brett Johnson. So this is the Brett Johnson Show. When we come back, we'll continue. See you in a minute. Okay. So we are back. We are back once again to the Brett Johnson Show. I told you I had a meeting. Told you this show was probably going to go more than 25 minutes. And yes, I agree. I probably need to do a little bit better on time management. But it's been a busy day. It's been a very busy day. I can tell you what I was working at, but I'm not allowed to tell you that. I can talk about it maybe next year. and it will make for one hell of a show. Promise you that. Now, that being said, we were talking about advanced replacement fraud. I had explained what happened with Microsoft, how fraudsters aided live. I also talked about how fraudsters share that information within those communities. Nowadays, advanced replacement fraud has not really went anywhere. I mean, it's hit NVIDIA. People were getting free graphics cards at one point. It's still possible with NVIDIA. It's possible with a few different things. And now, because of Telegram and because of this guy named Noir, advanced replacement fraud is kind of ramping up again. And it's hitting a lot of high-end speaker companies, high-end vacuum cleaner sales, things like that. So if you go on eBay right now, you can find a lot of high-end headphones, speakers, vacuums being sold by people on eBay. You know, you see all these, you see some eBay seller all of a sudden, he's got 5 of these vacuum cleaners, and it's not like he got them as gifts for a wedding and he just don't know what to do with them. No, he's got that shit because it's illegal, and he's selling it at 80% of retail or whatever he's selling it for, so he can pocket some money and commit fraud someplace else. That's what's going on. So I wanted to talk about that. And the way this fraud works, same way it worked then. You have to have serial numbers. Back with Microsoft, the way the serial numbers worked is Microsoft, in their infinite wisdom. Let's be honest. I love Microsoft. I'm running Windows 11. Don't really like it yet. I'm sure I'll get to where I kind of like it. But, you know, some of the menus are kind of screwed up on Windows 11. And I'm like, why the hell did you guys change that shit? There was no reason to. It was working fine every single iteration of Windows before this one. But no, you had to fix it. Well, you didn't fix it. You screwed it up. I'm still getting used to that. You know, one of these days, I'm going to go to Linux, and you Microsoft people are going to miss me. Just saying. Just saying. So anyway, you got to have a serial number. Now, with Microsoft, with their Surface Pros, in their infinite wisdom back then, they had checksum serial numbers. God. So what was going on is you could generate valid serial numbers for products that did not exist. So you could generate a serial number for a Surface Pro 2 or for an Xbox One, and that product had not been built yet. Think about that. Yeah, and then on that non-existent product, you could say it wasn't working, and Microsoft would send you an advanced replacement for that non-existent product because, again, as long as you figured out the algorithm for the serial number, and it was a very simple algorithm. It was a checksum serial number, and it was like an 7 or 8 digit serial number, and like the fourth and sixth digits added together generated the last 2 digits of the serial number. Pretty easy, pretty simple. Then the first digit determined whether it was a North American serial number or Brazil, or not Brazil, but EU or something like that. All right. Not Brazil, because Brazil is not really very friendly to any electronics that are not built in Brazil. So there's a huge market down there if you're, you know, a black market seller selling that shit. So we're running out of breath talking about this stuff. So Microsoft had checked some serial numbers. The reason I say that is that the problem these days is there's still a couple of sellers. I saw on Telegram today that one of these speaker sellers, that their serial numbers are checksums as well. And here's the deal for you companies out there. If you've got a product that makes a product or service that makes money, a criminal can and will make money off that same product or service. That's a fact. I know it because I've done it. Used to teach it. So just understand that. And if you're doing serial numbers, first of all, you need to make sure your algorithm is not easily deciphered on your serial numbers. The second thing is, on your serial numbers, do the serial numbers actually attach to a product that has been built? Or is it a product that is in the ether somewhere? One of these potential, I mean, it's not even a metaverse product. God, metaverse. Don't even get me started on that. I'm sure at some point I'll have to have a show on the metaverse. I'm sure that Mark Zuckerberg won't come on because everyone knows I don't like him very much. But if you're doing serial numbers, make sure that the serial number is attached to a product that has been built. Microsoft was not really doing that at that point in time. I'm not sure that these serial numbers for at least one of these companies is doing that either. All right, so that's one of the issues as well. The other issue is make sure that your serial number algorithm is not a simple checksum serial number. Because if you've got a bunch of criminals that can easily generate those serials, oh my God. And then you've got advanced replacement on top of that. You've got that type of warranty. Oh my God. Something's wrong with you. So what's going on is some of these suppliers don't have serial numbers. So a lot of these criminals are anxious, or they're always searching for serial numbers, because if you have the serial number to one of these products, you can go on the merchant's website. You can say you've got a problem with that product, and then they will. A lot of these merchants right now don't even require a credit card. They just want to know if you've got a problem with a product, and then they will send you out this pair of $900 headphones free. Advance, and you're supposed to send them the other ones back. All right. So as long as that serial number is valid, they'll do that for you. So where do criminals get serial numbers? Any ideas? Any ideas where a criminal can find a serial number to a high-end electronic? Tick tock, tick tock. Let's do the Jeopardy tune. Ding, 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 ding. Yeah, it's eBay is one of the big ones. Yeah, look at those pictures on eBay. Pull up, I wish I could say, like I said, the Brett Johnson of old, he would have been telling who these suppliers were. But for those who don't know, I am now Chief Criminal Officer of Arcos Labs. I'm going to actually try to have a conversation with these companies and talk to them about, hey, I'm not going to call them. There are trigger words. there are trigger words that I would like to say, but cannot. So I won't use the trigger words, and I will talk rationally. I will say, hey, this is the problem that you've got. I will show them on Telegram where these fraudsters are talking about defrauding you. As a matter of fact, this group of these guys are talking about how much money they're making off your products on advanced replacement. They can get laptops, they can get speakers, they can get these vacuum cleaners. They get all this. There's hundreds of them that are doing this stuff right now. They're eating you alive. The only thing that needs a serial number. Where are they getting the serial numbers? Well, you can get them off eBay. You walk in one of these stores like Best Buy or Fry's or something like that and see if they've got one on a shelf that you can actually snap a shot of or something like that. Or talk the salesman. God, I saw this on Telegram the other day. Fraudster was out there saying, he was like, oh, it's very easy. You just go into Best Buy, go back to the audio thing, tell them you want to buy it, but you want to make sure that it's in the correct packaging. Go get the damn thing and bring it out so I can see what the packaging looks like. And the salesman, because he thinks he's going to make a sale, the salesman will go out and go in the back and get these high-end ass speakers or the laptops or what have you, and we'll bring it out, and this fraud guy, oh yeah, I think that's right. Let me snap a picture of it just to make sure that's the correct one. Snap a picture of the serial, goes home, gets on the merchant's or the company's website, says that product, because it's not been registered for warranty yet, he registers it for warranty at that point in time. He registers for warranty, says it's immediately got a problem with it, and the company sends out a brand spanking new one, and you're supposed to send the old defective one back, which never happens. So that's advanced replacement fraud. Now that doesn't seem that sophisticated, does it? No, it doesn't. Because guess what? A lot of these frauds, you don't have to be sophisticated to steal a lot of money, to steal a lot of product. You don't have to be sophisticated to do that. Think about the reason this stuff happens is because companies strive hard every day to make sure that the customer experience is a pleasant one, to make sure that everything's positive, make sure that the customer is happy. Because if you keep the customer happy, you've got a loyal customer who will continue to buy your product year in and year out. All right. Every iteration of that product. It's when you make the customer unhappy that the customer then not only doesn't shop with you, but that customer tells every single person that will listen. They tell all their friends, all their work associates, all their family members. They tell everybody what a bad experience they had with your company. They will talk about it on Facebook. They will talk about it on Reddit. They will talk about it to people they don't know. They will talk about it standing in line at the store to whatever stranger might listen. And it will sow a lot of bad faith with your company. That's what happens. So companies work hard every day to make sure that the customer experience is very good. Well, the problem is that when companies do that, when they make sure that the customer experience is good, and I want to be honest with you, advanced replacement is a fantastic tool. It truly is. I've had graphics cards that have went down, and I've been able to call NVIDIA, and they would send me an advanced replacement on that, legitimately. Now, when I was a criminal, I would call NVIDIA up with a fake, with a serial that for an item that I didn't have, and they would send me an advanced replacement too. But, it's a great tool. It's a great thing for a company to have. But the problem is, like right now, I've got a Microsoft Surface Duo, this kind of flip phone looking thing, which is it's an outstanding device. It truly is. It works. When it works, it is fantastic. When it works, problem is I feel like I'm a beta tester. I do, because it's a fantastic device. It's huge. Turns into a tablet. I never really liked tablets until I had that thing. So it's really nice. I like it a lot, but it's kind of iffy sometimes on workings, and it's had some problems. So I contacted Microsoft, and they're doing that advanced thing for me. And I'm like, hey, that's outstanding, right? It's outstanding. But a lot of fraudsters, when you've got a service like that, a lot of fraudsters take advantage of it. So companies have to be aware of that. And there are tools in place to be able to determine if fraud is apparent. Is it a long-time account? Is it a new account? How was the device paid for? Does the actual serial attached to a product that has been built or purchased? Kind of need to know that. Kind of need to know that shit. There are things that companies need to be doing to make sure that doesn't happen. And the answer is not an easy answer at the end of the day. But the way the fraud, and for those who it's very easy. You get a serial number, you get it off eBay, you walk in the store, get it wherever, you get the serial number, then go on the merchant website, say you got a problem. Some of these merchants do advanced replacement on stuff. Not much else to say about it other than that. I'm Brett Johnson. This is the Brett Johnson Show. I'm thinking about that comment that guy made. Some of the craziness is probably where his ass was in solitary for 8 months. Yeah, that's probably some of the craziness. Probably is. I'm Brett Johnson. What do we say? We say stay safe, stay secure, and stay vigilant. But at the end of the day, this is the Brett Johnson Show. Just do the right damn thing. I'm Brett Johnson. Thank you for listening. Until next time.